And that was Marcia Hines with Shining. Well, she is still shining, and I can't believe we've finally managed to track her down. Marcia Hines, thank you for joining us on the Two Blokes Chatting radio show.
My pleasure. How are you doing?
Doing very, very well. As I mentioned to you before we started, I'm just a little bit starstruck, to be honest. I guess the obvious thing to do is to go back to where it all started. We know that you came to Australia from Boston when you were a teenager. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about that journey.
That was crazy because there was a show in Boston that had just started up, and it was taking the world by storm. And I had friends who actually auditioned for it and the show was called Hair. Mm-hmm. And they all said to me, "Oh, come and audition. We can all be in the show together." One of my besties, Linda, she said, "Oh, come. We'll have a ball." We used to sing around Boston when we were kids. And I said, "Nah, I don't want to get stuck in Boston. I want to go to Chicago or New York or LA." And then lo and behold, auditions were being held specifically for Black kids to audition for the Australian production of Hair. And so two people from Australia, Jim Sharman and Sandra McKenzie, came to Boston to audition, and I heard about it. And I went and auditioned, and lo and behold, I passed the audition and came to Australia.
And I mean, you and I have both been parents, are parents, whatever the correct term is there, and we've had 16 and 17-year-olds in our life. If we said to one of them, "Hey, pack your bags and go and live in Boston," for example, I reckon it'd blow their minds.
I'd go, "Yeah, I'd do that." I'm game, nothing ventured, nothing ventured, nothing gained,
Yeah, and so lobbying in Sydney, I'm assuming you'd never been to Australia before?
Oh, hell no. I mean, Australia was on the other side of the world. I was coming to Austria.
Oh, okay.
It's the truth. Why lie? But I had no idea where Australia was, and that was one of the interesting things about coming here. And also one of the best things was I realized when I got here, because humor is very unusual in this country, where if people insult you, they like you.
Yes.
So, yeah, and I just love that about the Australian culture. I just think it's the best thing. And then you don't take yourself too seriously. You know what I'm saying?
Well, there are a lot of people who are listening to this program who know that we specialise in it. Now, rumour reaches me that one of the people who auditioned with you was your cousin. And when you look at your list of cousins, I don't actually have any cousins, but you've got some pretty famous one called Donna Summer, who managed to get into that as well.
Oh, yeah. So Donna Summer, I grew up with. The girl I said who was was in Hair. She was the one who said to me, "Come and audition in Boston." Mm-hmm. I auditioned, and I said no. Donna had already left Boston, and she was in Hair in Germany. Yeah, okay. But my cousin is. I have two famous cousins. One is Jones, and the other one was Colin Powell, the military guy. Yeah. So those are my cousins. Yeah. So yeah, I like cousins because cousins don't tell on you like brothers and sisters.
No, they don't. Well, I don't know. I don't have any experience. No cousins, no aunties or uncles. No, that's really weird.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, hey, listen. So you choose your friends well because they become your family.
Well, that's right. Well, I'm choosing one now. You're going to be my friend from now on because I don't have many, you understand.
Okay, deal.
So the other massive role that you picked up a couple of years after arriving was in Jesus Christ Superstar, and that was a bit history-making. Yes. The first person of African-American descent to have been Mary. But I looked at the cast of that. What an extraordinary cast.
I know. Tell me about it. And before in here when I first saw Jesus Christ Superstar, and I sat there pinned to my seat because I hadn't heard of these people. I hadn't heard of. It was John Paul Young. It was John Waters. It was Stevie. Do you know what I mean? I heard these voices and went, "What the heck?" And so when I came to Australia, my guardian was Harry M. Miller, and he owned Hair and he owned Jesus Christ Superstar as well as many other stage productions. And look, I was blown away with Jesus Christ Superstar. I wanted to do the show, and Harry Oh, and I explain all this on stage as well. Harry said, no, because you're still one of the semi-original kids in Hair. And then the Vietnam War wrapped up, and Hair was a protest for the Vietnam War. And once that was done, I got a call from Harry, and he said, would you like to play Mary in Jesus Christ Superstar? And I went, hell yeah, So I got the part, which is wonderful, Yeah, I was blown away.
Because that was after it had been in Melbourne, wasn't it? I think Michelle Forden had that role in Melbourne.
She taught me the part.
Yeah.
So I came down to the Palais Theatre and learned the part, and she was so wonderful to me. She taught me the part.
Yeah, I was a 10-year-old, he says, bragging, and was dragged along to see this stage show, because I used to hate stage shows, and was blown away. And in 1973, I have not seen a stage show to rival it. And as you say...
Oh, well said, because I say that.
Yeah.
I actually say that in my performance. I mean, I love theater. It's one of my, look, I cut my teeth on it, so I love good theater, but I've never seen anything like that in my life, still.
Yeah, John English, Stevie Wright, as you said, John Paul Young when he was still John Young, because I don't think he became John Paul Young just after that. Russell Hitchcock, Graham Russell from Air Supply, Michael Caton.
Air Supply?
Michael Caton is the famous Chrissy Amphlett from our town. She's a Geelong girl.
I know.
Just extraordinary. Wow. So,
yes, it was.
And then if I had have tapped Marcia Hines on the shoulder and said, you are going to become one of Australia's most beloved and successful female recording artists at that stage, would you have laughed at me or gone, no, you know what, I am going to be?
No, I would have laughed at you because I'm not that incredible. No, just ambitious. He's the one who does all this, Like, no, I mean, look, it's a gig, So he did a great saying, man. You're only as good as your last gig. So
yeah.
I would have laughed at you. Yeah.
Yeah, well, because I think then if people are really into their musical trivia, there's an album called Boy from the Stars by the great Jimmy Keys, and I think you pop up on that.
Yeah, I did with and the drummer Mark Kennedy was on it, And I went out with Mark Kennedy from Ayers Rock for some years, and he played on it too. And I love Jim. Jim was wonderful to work with. I used to hang with him when in Melbourne. I'd stay with he Linda back in the day.
Yeah, because I had the good fortune to interview him many years ago when I was first cutting my teeth in this gig, and just a lovely, lovely man who sadly left us too early.
Yeah, indeed. And strangely enough, in his basement of his house, guess who was living downstairs in his basement? LRB.
Oh, really? Because I managed to catch up.
Before they struck, before they hit hard, they were living downstairs.
Well, of course, Little River Band has a great connection to Geelong as well, because up until they got to the Golf Links Hotel, now known as the Sphinx, they were still Mississippi. And the story, of course, that Graham loves to tell about getting down here, and Glenn had a good chat to both of those two over the journey as well. Hey, Marcia, we're going to talk about your music career, but before we do, would you mind if we break for a song?
Not at all.
Because I think this is a really good time to introduce the song that brought you to our attention as a recording artist rather than a stage performer. It's a song called Fire and Rain. We'll be right back. I'm talking to Marcia Hines. That's Fire and Rain by Marcia Hines, and I had the very good fortune to be chatting to Marcia. Thanks for joining us on the Two Blokes Chatting. Well, that kicked it all off, and from that point on, you seem to be everywhere.
Yeah, we worked really hard back in the day, like touring was crazy because we did lots of regional areas, and that's what we did. We just toured all the time, and it was a really heady time, and that's when you'd catch up with all the other bands and all the other performers. It was great.
I was living in Melbourne at the time, and I tell my kids who are now in their early 30s about the fact you could go to the Doncaster Inn, or you could go to the Southside Six, or the Rock at the Croc, or Roxy at the Roxy, and all those things. And you could follow people around, couldn't you? And not in a stalking kind of way.
You definitely lived it, But you're so right, it was crazy because Melbourne was on fire when it came. And then, Melbourne still has more gigs than Sydney as well.
Yeah, but sadly nowhere near enough.
No, I know. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So it happens to be completely coincidental, you understand, that this weekend Countdown is celebrating 50 years, and there's a special on the TV, I think, tonight. Tell us about the importance of Countdown for you as an artist, but also the other Australian artists.
Well, if it wasn't for Molly, we wouldn't be here. You know, Molly loved and understood us, and he'd say things like, "Do yourself a favor, buy this album," and then people would, and we lived for Countdown because we were touring, as I said earlier, so heavily. The time we'd hang out was at the studio, so we'd all see each other and tell stories about being on the road and musicians, we love to laugh. And we'd laugh about what was going on in the road and what was going on in the studio. And, we're terribly irreverent. we can be, But we recorded the Countdown special. Outstanding. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, we're all sitting on the edge of our seats waiting to watch it. I think it's on the ABC tonight. I'll check that out and let people know because
that's right,
folks. I'm pre-recording this in case you haven't worked it out.
No, I'm good. I'm feeling you, man. I'm feeling you. I got you.
That's the one.
Yeah.
So along the way throughout the 70s, of course, you had a massive number of hits. Do you have a favourite?
Yes, Fire and Rain.
Okay.
It's still my favorite because, it's the first thing. It's funny, I was talking to Kate Sobrano the other day, and she was playing one of her songs way back in the day when she was in I'm Talking. And I said to her, who's that little girl singing, And I said to her, whenever, I don't listen to myself much, but when I come across me singing Fire and Rain, I think, she sounds such a kid. I sound like such a baby.
Yeah.
Because your voice does change, it does metamorphosize into, even my speaking voice has changed compared to the speaking voice that I see when I used to do Countdown. It's crazy.
Yeah, and there's still quite a significant US twang in there, though, isn't there?
Yeah. Well, it's the Boston thing, Yeah. I don't lose my accent. I didn't. It's interesting that I haven't lost it, though. It's. But they say if you've been educated in a country for, the first 16 years of your life, you don't usually lose that accent.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, I'm going to maybe embarrass you, but ask for this comparison. One of my favourite songs of yours is I Just Don't Know What to Do With Myself, which I can't even say, much less
Thank
sing,
you.
Which was knocked out by someone called Dusty Springfield as well. What sort of influence did she have on your music? Did you have any? Because I see so much similarity in the style.
Yeah, she was a really incredibly talented, blue-eyed soul singer. That's what you call Dusty. And I remember hearing her sing, think, damn, that girl can sing. And you don't copy, but you assimilate, because you sort of hear something, you think, oh gosh, I wonder what I'd sound like singing that.
Marcia, we have to get going, but the purpose of getting you on here, apart from lifelong dreams and all that kind of stuff, is you're coming to the beautiful city by the bay. You're coming to Geelong on Saturday, the 30th of November, and I'm going to be there. Don't you worry about that.
Cool!
Can't wait to see you in concert. It's been a very long time since that happened. But yeah, tell us what we can expect on the night.
I'm not good at that, really, but I'll say, look, I'll be there. No, I'm not really good. It's going to be the greatest show on earth. Look, the thing is, I've had the same manager for my whole career, and we put this show together, and there were, lots of lists of the repertoire passed back and forth, and we chose what we believe are the most relevant songs and the songs that I believe the audience would like to hear. And I've got two really great guys that warm up the show for me called Suit and Tie, and they perform with me as well. And I think I believe that the show is really heartfelt, and right. you want to go out and be entertained, and I believe that our show is fun and entertaining. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, the show is called Still Shining, which is why I snuck that in at the start of the conversation. A reference, obviously, to a magnificent song that you released in 1975 or 76, which we heard at the start of this conversation. Marcia, I can't wait to get along there. We'll talk more about how to get tickets and stuff after we finish chatting. Now we'll play a song and then we'll talk about tickets. Can't wait to see you in Geelong. Thanks for taking some time out of your busy schedule to chat to us on the Two Blokes Chatting radio show.
You're welcome. Make sure you say hi.
We'll do our best. Thanks, Marcia.